Hi, welcome back to my channel. OhSheReads here, and in today's video I want to give you all an update on my 2016 reading goals. And in the beginning of the year I did a video titled Top 10 Books I'll Read in 2016, and I also wanted to give you guys an update on that list and how it's going with those books. So first, I just want to start off by saying that you can follow me on Goodreads. I'll place the link to my Goodreads page in the description if you want to see some of the books that I've read this year, primarily new adult books, but if you want to check them out, you can. I haven't done the best job of updating my Goodreads. I actually keep my own records of the books that I read. Since I read primarily on my Kindle, it's very easy for me to go back through my Amazon account and see when I read what book, because I can go back and see when it was downloaded and purchased. And then once I finish reading the book on my Kindle, I actually move it over to a folder of read books, and I have a folder for each month of the year, and that's kind of how I stay organized. So I haven't done the best job of updating things on Goodreads, but if you go to my Goodreads now, you'll see that I have been making an effort, since I am participating in a reading challenge this year on Goodreads. And my challenge was I wanted to read 200 books this year, or I want to read 200 books this year. So I'm doing my best to kind of transfer everything that I've kept up with on my Kindle and on my own and transfer it over to Goodreads so that I can kind of, have accurate numbers there. So yeah, basically you can go check that out if you want to, and I'll be going over my statistics in this video. So far this year I have read 144 books. In January I read 13 books. In February I also read 13 books. So I started off the year fairly strong. In March I read 20 books. So, I went up significantly, almost doubled my numbers. In April of this year, I read 24 books, so 4 more than I read in March. In May of this year, I read 13 books, so May was a little bit of a slower month for me, and I believe in May I just had a lot of things going on with my writing. My best friend came to visit, so there were a lot of things going on at my job, so it was a slower reading month for me. In June, I read 30 books. So you see a significant spike in June, and the summer is usually my best time for reading. I have a lot less responsibilities and things just tend to always be a little bit easier for me in the summer in terms of free time. In July, I read 29 books, and if you haven't seen my July wrap-up video, I will link it in the description box so you can go check that out. And right now we are currently in August, and so far I have only completed 2 books. So August is a little bit of a slower month. I kind of got into a reading slump after the booktubeathon, so I'm trying to get myself out of it. And I'm currently reading The Beauty of Darkness, which is the 3rd and final book in the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson, and that book has put me in a little bit of a reading slump as well. So I just am confident that once I complete that book, I will be out of my slump, hopefully. So if you tally and calculate all of those numbers up, you see that I have read 144 books thus far this year. I'm almost halfway to my goal, and I actually have a more secret goal that I haven't spoken about publicly, and I'm not going to speak about publicly because if I do not meet that goal, I don't want to beat myself up about it. I'm not trying to psych myself out. So you'll know by the end of the year whether I've met that secret goal or not, because I definitely will be making a video speaking all about it. But I just wanted to put it out there so that when that video is posted, or hopefully it gets posted, you guys aren't going to be like, where did this come from? This came out of nowhere. So I just wanted to mention it in this video and say, yes, I do have a secret goal in mind and something that I just would really love to accomplish this year in terms of how many books I've read, but I don't want to speak more about it because I don't want to set myself up for failure and I don't want to psych myself up. Now I will say that I have read primarily on my Kindle this year. I just find it easier. I tend to read a lot at night, and my Kindle has a light, it's lit from within. Ooh. So I can read in the dark, which has really helped me to read as many books as I have, because I do read at night, and during the day it's very hectic with work, and that's primarily where I do most of my writing, and I just don't have as much time to read during the day unless I have a free day. And I found myself reading into the night and into the wee hours of the morning, and it's so easy on my Kindle since it does have that inner light. I don't have to keep my actual lights on. I can turn my lights out, and then it's very easy for me to just transition into sleep because my lights are already out. I will also say that I am a very fast reader. When I looked back at my stats, it looked like the most books I've read in one day is 3. Yes, I have actually completed 3 books in one day, and it didn't happen often, happened here and there, and I found that happening on days where I have absolutely nothing to do, no chores, no errands to run, no work, no responsibilities, just a completely free day. And as we all know, that doesn't come along very often. So I definitely took advantage of those days when they did. And what that day would look like, just to paint you guys a picture, is from the moment I wake up in the morning, I am reading, and I definitely obviously take breaks to use the restroom and to eat. But on those days, I mainly spend them in bed reading, and I read back to back to back. So once I finish one book, I jump right into the next book with no breaks. And once I finish the second book, I jump right into the third book with no breaks. So that seems to have been my record, was 3 books in a day. And I think I did that like 1 or 2 days, possibly 3, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back on Goodreads and really look. The way I balance my reading and writing life is, like I said, I tend to write primarily during the day. I write in the morning times. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I can't help it. My body just naturally wakes me up at that time. Unless I stayed up really late the night before, then I'll sleep until around 8. So I'm an early riser, and I use those times in the morning. If I don't have bills to pay or something else to do, if I don't have to go to work that morning, then I use that time to write. And I write for a couple hours each day. And then like I said, I go to work or do whatever else I need to do, and I save my evening hours for reading. And I read pretty quickly, so I found that I actually read faster on my Kindle. When I have a physical book in front of me, I don't know what it is, but it tends to slow me down a little bit. But I've also found that when it comes to retaining details, plot points, just stories, and retaining like the fullness of them and what happened, and remembering details of stories, I remember things much better when I read a physical book. There's just something about touching the book and flipping the pages, and maybe it's because I also read slower when I read physical books, but I just remember the story a lot better. So when I read on my Kindle, it's almost like I'm speed reading, and I'm just reading so quickly, and I still take the story in, and I'm still able to enjoy the reading experience, but I don't tend to remember the stories as well. And I realized that because when I was going back and recording what I'd read from my Amazon account onto my Goodreads, there were a lot of books that I came across that I couldn't even remember what the plots were, and I had to click on them and read the synopsis in order to jog my memory. So I've read all these books, and it's like I can't quite grasp. Of course, there are always those stories that are going to stay with you because they really impacted you and are really powerful and really good stories. But just like, those other stories that are harder to grasp, I don't always remember them. And I think it's because when I read on my Kindle, I don't remember things as strongly. Now, with 144 books read, it means that I only have 56 books left to read in order to meet my known Goodreads goal of 200 books this year. So I hope that I'm able to keep my momentum going, and I really do hope that I'm able to get out of this reading slump that I'm in right now. If you guys have any questions about the books that I've read this year, or how quickly I read, or anything having to do with this portion of the video, please leave them below and I will answer them, or you can send me a direct message or an email. Now on to speaking about the 10 books that I vowed at the beginning of this year to read this year. Just quickly, I would like to list off those books to you right now. Number 1 is The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. Number 2 is Winter by Marissa Meyer. Number 3 is Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. Number 4 is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Number 5 is Room by Emma Donoghue. Number 6 is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Number 8 is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Number 9 is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. And number 10 is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Quite the ambitious list, I know, and definitely pushing myself to read more outside of my comfort zone and kind of get me out of this new adult book feel that I've been in. Now, at the beginning of the year when I made this list, I gave myself a cop-out, if you will. Since I have been so stuck and so ingrained on reading new adult for the past 3 to 4 years, what I said is I would give myself the first 6 months of the year to focus solely on reading new adult books. And I would just indulge myself in that and really just kind of settle in and feel comfortable in my comfort zone and just kind of have that moment. And then the last 6 months of the year, I was going to try to push myself to actually accomplishing reading the books on this list. Now, the only book on the list that I have read and completed so far is The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson, because like I stated in the beginning of the video, I am reading the third and final book in the series. So I did read that one way back in January, I want to say. And I do have a plan moving forward, and I'd like to share that with you now. So as we are in the month of August, I do have 2 of the books on my list in my current August TBR. The first one that I am going to be reading this month is Since You've Been Gone by... Just dropped a book. Don't panic. Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson will be completed in August. And Winter by Marissa Meyer will be completed in August. So I'm in the middle of editing this video and I've noticed that I've completely lost the last file, which kind of tells you the rest of my reading plans for the top 10 books I'm trying to read. And I also noticed that I didn't include a number 7, so I just wanted to slip this part in and kind of try to rectify the situation. So I have my little list here, so sorry, this is gonna be kind of ratchet. But Winter I actually will be reading in September because it is now the end of August and I have not yet read that book. So I'll be reading Winter in September. And then I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I'll also be reading in September. Then in October, I'll be reading Room by Emma Donoghue. I'll also be reading All the Light We Cannot See in October by Emma Donoghue. In November, I'll be reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I'll also be reading the number 7 that I didn't include, which is finishing up the series, which is, I almost hit myself there, This Shattered World and Their Fractured Light by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. So I'll be finishing up this series in November. Is that what I said? November? I hope so. And then in December, I will be wrapping up with The Grapes of Wrath and Mistborn. So that is my plan moving forward. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to the file. It got corrupted or something's lost, but my battery's dying. I got 5% left. So I just wanted to slip this in, and thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely subscribe for more videos like this. I love you guys, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye.